Hi, Catherine. I'm so sad that we have to miss this special day, and I just hope that you feel blessed with those that are around you. And I hope you know how excited we are for you as you start this journey with Steve on this journey of this precious life and embark on this new chapter. I wanted to just share a message with you about things just to encourage you and things that kind of Alan and I have learned along the way. Raising 4 kids has been a whirlwind for us, and we're still in the thick of it, and sometimes we can't see the forest through the trees. But as we step back and we try to get a big picture on parenting, I think one of the analogies that comes to mind is just the comparison between our dad as a landscaper and owning a nursery and parenting. So I'm just going to give a couple examples of how I think that those things are similar. The first example is, when Dad was taking care of plants and trees, and he had some of his men also helping him take care of those. I think the consistency of the caretaking and being on the same page is one of the most crucial things, I think, in probably gardening as well as in parenting. And I think if you and Steve are on the same page and you are working together, I think that you're going to thrive with that child. If gardeners are, one is pruning and the other one wants to let it grow, and one is putting it in the shade and the other is putting it in the sun, I think it will stunt the growth of the plant. There's a verse in 1 Peter 4:10, and it talks about, if each of you should use whatever gifts you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms. If anyone speaks, they should do so as one who speaks for the very words of God. If anyone serves, they should do so with the strength God provides, so that in all things God may be praised. And I think each of you have been given different gifts. Steve innately as a man and you as a woman have different gifts that you're going to bring to this child. And I think honoring, there's going to be gifts that Steve can do that you can't do, and gifts that you can do and Steve can't do. But honoring and respecting the gifts that the other one has, and then coming together shoulder to shoulder. I think instead of toe to toe with each other, but just coming alongside of each other and really getting on the same page. And I know there's been times when Alan and I have really struggled with that. We came, especially when we first started parenting, we came from two very different backgrounds, and I really struggled, I think, at times wanting to be right or not being on the same page. And I just came to a point where I really surrendered and realized that I wanted Alan to lead in this area, and I just got on my knees and I prayed. Instead of nagging him, I would just pray for his leadership and his wisdom. And I think there was such peace and blessing when we are on the same page. And we still struggle, and we still sometimes aren't shoulder to shoulder, but when we are, that's when I think that there's the most peace in our home, and we just see the most fruits of that. So I would just really encourage you guys to be consistent and to come together and be on the same page. The second thing that I think is kind of parallels between owning a nursery and taking care of plants and parenting is the source that gardener is using, their source of wisdom. If they're using a manual that has been trusted and tried, or if they just take the latest fads, the latest things that comes out in this magazine or that magazine, I think that the source of their wisdom and where they're getting that from is really important. I think the same thing in parenting. I think the Bible is laced with amazing wisdom for us throughout. There's a verse in Proverbs 9:10 that says, the fear, or I would substitute the respect of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. The Bible talks about how it's inspired and it's God-breathed, and it's useful for teaching, correcting, and rebuking, that it's alive and active and sharper than any two-edged sword. I really feel like Alan and I have always tried to come back on major points and use the Bible as our source. And I think there's going to be times where maybe the Bible doesn't speak directly to the situation that you're facing, and there's wonderful authors out there that anchor back to the Bible that I think are super helpful, as well as I think other people in your life. You're going to observe other families, and when you observe just their honesty and the challenges that they face and the nuggets that they hold on to for truth, I think there's times in parenting where you feel kind of on top of the world, like you've mastered this thing and your kids are making you look good. And then there's other times where you just fall on your knees and you're humbled, and it's that big God, little man feeling where you know that you failed and you are so grateful for God's forgiveness and for the resources that He's provided. And I think when you find other families that will be real with you and that will come alongside you in your challenges, and then just have some kind of, I think, tried and true strategies that they've taken, I think really learning from those families is really helpful as well. The other thing that the third thing I would kind of compare to gardening is when a gardener just prunes and puts it in harsh sun and kind of takes the tough love type aspect and isn't nurturing and growing that plant and putting them in good environments, I think the plant will thrive. As well as in parenting, if you're kind of high love and low authority, or high authority and low love, I think that those times kids struggle as well. And so I would just challenge you to strike that balance as much as you can, and you and Steve coming together to see what that exactly looks like for your family. But being able to balance both of those things in parenting, I think, is important. And the last thing that I would say is really important is the environment that you create as a gardener. So that the environment, the soil, where you're choosing to place that plant, how you're choosing to care for that plant. And that's something that makes me so excited for you and Steve, is that you bring so much to parenting. The love you have for each other, the love that you have for the Lord, the love that you have for God's Word, the love that you have and the excitement you have for this little one coming into your life, and just the love for raising a child and making a difference in that child's life. And I am just so excited for what that looks like. So I think if you stay consistent on the same page, I think that if you use God's Word and godly resources as your source of truth, if you balance love and authority, and if you create an environment where that kid can thrive, I think you're going to have one happy, healthy kid in the same way a gardener would have a happy, healthy plant. I have ordered a shrub for you. That's one of my little plants right there. I had ordered a shrub for you. I called a nursery in Auburn, California, and asked, what's a hardy, evergreen, blooming plant that grows year-round in Auburn, and they suggested one, and it'll be delivered to your house next Friday, or the Friday that you get back from Colorado. And I think just as you guys are preparing for this pregnancy, just trying to get on the same page that way, and as you plant this plant together, figuring out what environment's the best for them, and just talking through different things about how what Steve feels about this topic or that topic, and then just as this plant blooms and grows, your little one will bloom and grow as well. So in summary, we are so excited for you, Catherine. We love you. And my little ones wanted to say something as well.
We love you, and KK. We're so excited to see our little buddy.
Say baby. Say baby.